live screen. I thought Tim might come on, but I haven't heard from him, so he's probably not available.
Well, we can do this.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Just need to log into Twitch
No
and stuff
problem.
here.
Thanks for your patience. Thank you for your. Oh my God, I had to watch. Yeah, I'm sorry, but give me 1 second. Give me 10 seconds. We're good. All right. Hey, Mr. Gold. Oh, that was awesome, wasn't it? It was worth it. Feeling $100 now, as Fletch would say. So, I'm here. Coming live. Annie and me are here.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, I feel good now. So, sound okay? Can you guys hear us all? Everything good?
Hope they can. Yep.
Yep. Let's hope. Sound check. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone. Thank you for coming on. All right, good. Hey, Rob. Good to see you. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna high right now. You all understand that, right? So that was awesome.
Not me. I'm not into sports.
I know. But that was hopefully. Well, next week it's my team against Curtis's team next week.
So that means that one of you are after that one.
But all right. So first things first. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thank you. And thank you for getting me all that information for GaryCon. I really appreciate it. If you are, once again, I said this on Saturday, if you are, and Greg did the right thing, he gave me extra information. If you are a member of the community and you are going to GaryCon in person and you are a live streamer or you are DMing there, I need all your bio information, and I prefer a rectangular pic. These are the ones I like put on the banners, okay? Because Anna is going to help me put together the 2-page event guide coming up.
You mean like a square or?
Like the ones I show on the banner, you know, like.
Okay, so the more like square. They should stick out.
Like here, I'll throw like this one up here. Like that. You see those?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
a little bit rectangular.
Yeah, I think they'll work the best as we try and smash in as many people as we can onto that. So I know. Isn't that crazy there, Rob? So, Anna, what are your thoughts on this topic, which I came up with? We had a really good topic last week, and you said, oh, this is a great topic. So what are your thoughts?
I think this is good. And I really love that you put in art of campaign balance, because I think it is an art rather than the science, so to speak, because it is an art. It's not something you can calculate on the spreadsheet and then assume that it will work out, so to speak. It's something that you continuously have to keep check of, so to speak, and so it's something you have to continuously manage. And it also depends on so many variables, which I think we will get into. And I think there's more dimensions than one. There's many types of balances, and I want to dig into a few of them.
I agree 100%. So when I was young, a long time ago, I always ask some questions like, why is something this way in the game? And I'll give you an example. And it says, well, they start out weak. Why are wizards, mages back in the day? Why are, I know they tried fixing this, but why are they so useless at low levels? Right? And that led to No problem, Michael. Just get me everything you can. That would be awesome. Email preferred to the Lord gives them email. Thank you for almost the hype train. And also, hey, Sam, thank you all too. Can I say something before I'm babbling here? Because I'm all fired up. I was blown away Saturday. I had like 80 people on watching at the end for me putting terrain on my table.
Mm-hmm.
That was unbelievable, and we were the top
Yeah.
stream. That was fantastic. But
I think people like behind the scenes stream, because that was kind of a behind the scenes stream, and people like that.
Well, I had no problem answering. There were some great questions. Like
Yeah.
I brought out that old.
Mm-hmm.
So Scottish Jeff asked, "What's your oldest?" Sound like something fell. What's your oldest piece of terrain you have? I brought out that one that was shaped like Africa. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? I put it on the corner of the table. It's still on the table because I left it out there. So, well, thanks, Rob. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was the fun thing that came together from it. I just was so appreciative of all the people that came on a Saturday
Yeah.
morning on a holiday weekend. So, all right, I always ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why are wizards useless? Why is the game set up early on? And now I understand. Oh, thanks, Wayne. Thank you. No, that's downstairs there. So I know you're just kidding, Dale. Why is it that we're gravitating toward multi-class characters early on? Now I know why there was class level limits, because you can make a fighter cleric mage and all this other stuff, and I saw all these things and I said to myself, well, what do we do? Thanks, Rob. What do we do to solve the issue of game balance? There's got to be something we can do, and let's talk about some evolution on that. Like, first edition was filled with them. And I know it's the first edition, it's the first time it's out, and they tried to resolve some of these in Arcana, and I think they actually messed some up. Oh, let me set the giveaway up. I think they really messed up some things in Arcana, but, and then as editions go, and Anna, you're an expert on the third edition era.
Well, I still have a fresh memory of it. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself an expert on any rule system in
events.
any edition, but I played it with for third edition and Pathfinder 1 for 20 years. So I that's the edition I played the longest. If I smashed them together because they mechanically they are in the same ballpark, so to speak, the same era, same generation rule set.
Yeah, and so I'll take first and second, you take third, and then the audience can take fifth.
Yeah. Now I'm in deep into fifth, so that's my new jam, so to speak. Since what is it, like 3-4 years? So, and that will be my final. I think. I don't think I will move away now. I found my way, so I will develop my own version of 5e. And also want to take my game balance in slightly new direction. So I think this topic is really interesting because it ties into my house rules a lot, so to speak, because it's one of the reasons why I build the house rules I do.
Well, yeah, so Sam, 9:00 Eastern time, just it's the same Discord. I'm sorry, it's the same login on Zoom. Just throw in there if you want to talk a little bit about the power leveling you saw in third edition. That would be cool. So, what's up, Curtis? All right. So, you can tell I'm fired up, Curtis. House ruling, and you saw this yesterday if you watched books and books and books and books and books. House ruling. This is 3 of like 20 books I have that are downstairs. So I house rule the shit out of 1E and 2E. So, hey, what's up, Keith? Keith, I gave you.
You're doing to 1-2 what I'm doing to 5e.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
Keith, I got you. You had connected to 2 full compilation sets yesterday, by the way. So you got 2 whole new stuff. Yeah, you got a whole ton of stuff from yesterday's win yesterday. The compiling of rules. I saw as I had to balance things out first, but then I saw it as I can enhance this game. Mm-hmm. Right, and especially when second edition came out, I was like, my gosh, I can run with this. Just they've opened it up, and I think that's the nuance. I think that was thanks, Ilnival. That's the nuance I think that was missed was truly missed in second edition. Oh my God, there's too many splat books. But I saw that as a nuance to expand on the game and make the game more fun for everyone. So, all right, early on, let's go here. Oh, by the way, I'm scrolling through a lot of the ads. You get so much going on. Playing Wizards still giving CNC is more forgiving for a low level with high int bonus and dedicated cantrip stuff. Yes, I'll explain what I did. We'll tackle that. We'll tackle that shortly. I love 2E. Hey, what's up, darling? I love 2E too, Rob. I love the 1E 2E mesh together. So, Player's Handbook. What a great book, right?
Well, I always loved each edition when they came out, and then I started loving it more than the older edition, and that's been my case ever since, so to speak. In that sense, when I played them, I always loved them because then I didn't know what was coming after.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, a great point there. Yeah. We surpassed the 3. I hate to bribe everyone. We surpassed the 3. I'll do a double giveaway tonight to 2 different people. Just letting you know. And Dale, damn weirdo, you've done your job. So if we don't, it's a oneer. No biggie. All right. So this book is great. Love it. I didn't understand why they were doing class level limits until I really got into the game, and I'm thinking to myself, well,
are you talking demi-human class limits?
No, thanks, Ray. All right, 2 giveaways. Yeah, the Devi-Human class level limits. And then I figured it out. And I figured out that no one's going to play, because of the way the rules are set up, no one in the right mind going to play straight level magic user. When you can play a fighter mage, you get all the benefits.
Yep.
It's not like 5th edition and 3rd edition where the levels are stacked on each other and the experience, you can't, it doesn't matter. You can run up as much experience as you want in 1E, 2E, but in 3rd,
Yeah,
so,
but it's also part of that's one of the reasons I want to go classless, because the classes front load a lot of the abilities, meaning you get a lot of the really cool stuff you get at first level, and then they slowly go up, but you get like a wizard gets spell casting, and then they get a whole bunch of stuff, so to speak, and a rogue gets a whole bunch of skills, backstabbing and so on, or like a thief in 1st edition. And then after that, you only get small incremental changes. You get a lot of the goodies at 1st level. That means that if you take 1st level in wizard and then you take 1st level in fighter, then at 2nd level you're way better than a 2nd level of each of they only stay in one class, and that's because the class system front load a lot of that stuff,
right?
And that's why I want to get around it. So I want to simply cut down each of these things so you can learn a little bit of spell casting and you learn a little bit of fighting ability, and so I chop up all the big things that you get, like all of it as a monolith. If you want to be a wizard, you get all the cool juicy stuff from the beginning. So I split up that in smaller pieces, so you can take a little bit of it, or you can take all the spell casting and become effectively a wizard if you want to. But then you will not have much bandwidth left over for a lot of weapons and armor and stuff.
True.
So that's how I try to solve it, because I want to have multi-classing, but I don't want the multi-classing to be a better option rules-wise than to single class, so to speak. And I want that to be dynamic, so you can do it as you level up. You can simply pick and choose.
So my guys can never play that way.
Yeah,
my guys just couldn't. The brains would work. And Mike Celestian brings up a good idea, a good thing. Mike. So early on, it just didn't make sense in the game. In the gameplay.
No, and I wouldn't even 10 years ago. I still loved classes because it makes the game easy to grasp.
I'll show you what I did.
And you get like classes make it easily digestible and understandable and predictable, which for most game purposes is the way you want to go.
So let me go to a form that I gave to a couple of you. Where is it?
Yeah.
Proficiencies 2023. Okay. All right. Here's an example. So a couple things that I did. Let's just tackle the mage right off the bat. With a cheat, I give humans a +1 ability score and double their non-weapon procs. So that seemed like you did make a change. I'm going to show you what I did. And I limited class level limits very early on because we wanted our Selenians and our Duchy of Ulick and our our dwarves from Principality. You look at there were we wanted them all to become the powerful characters in the campaign. I'm glad we did, but multi-classing in our game eliminates the special ability from the base class. And I'll give you an example. If you're a fighter mage, you cannot specialize like a fighter can from you're fighting on the old 1E rule system where you get 3v2 at 7th. It still makes for a powerful character. And I'll show you some other things that we did. Now, come down to here, our proficiency listing. Here, this is proficiencies melded into feats melded into proficiency system with, I added. So if you come to this table, here's your initial ones, which are changed, enhanced, so I could make this make more sense. All right. Give you an example here. Some things we do for mages: straight class mages, straight class illusionists, but not any of the other ones because they get other things. Elementalists, necromancers, wild mages, they get other things. Here it is. Extra spell slot right here with a caret or tilde. One extra spell to cast, one level lower than highest able to cast. That sounds like garbage. What's that mean? If you are and here's what that tilde means: magic user and illusionist, straight class only, not multi-class, get this free at 3rd level. What does that mean? Their table is 2 first level spells, 1 second level spell when they turn to 3rd level. Extra spell slot comes in. Thank you for that great hype train, everyone. Now they get 3 first level spells, 1 second. When they become 5th level, it's 4 first, 2 second, 1 third. Now it could be 5, 2, 1, or 4 first, 3 second, 1 third. They get an extra spell slot. This doesn't count as a proficiency, which means they can take extra spell slot again if they want to. That's a freebie there. All right. I allow multi-classers to take this because it's part of the feat listing. So there, I've added to their spell listing already, and I've given them flexibility. I know a lot of people use spell points. If you notice my special groups, I don't make them memorize spells, but my players do. There's another balance issue. Can you imagine if I made Ed Greenwood memorize all the spells, his character? It takes the fun out of the game. So this is one little thing that I've done to help your straight class mages and illusionists. And guess what? People are playing them again. Right? Also, I give out a lot more wands earlier on. Wands of magic missiles. Wands of burning hands. Very basic stuff. Wands of Mel's Acid Arrow because you got to hit with it. What's up, John? Makes bonus slots for high int. So John, that's another way to do it. But all mages have high int, usually 15 or higher. So it's kind of like a priest. It's a way to go. It's a smart way to go. And you could do it that way too. So, yeah. But Ed plays a Greyhawk mage. Isn't that a specialist? He is a specialist. But I'm talking spellcasters in old school have to memorize their spells from their spellbook, though, Dale. No matter what class they are. If you notice, my players have to do it. Alan and Bill and all, they have to do it. But Ed and Little Bird and all, they don't have to. They're allowed to go off their list and they have forecasts. I let them do it because those games are more fun, right? Are wands and Mel's Acid Arrow calibrated to the correct range? Yes, they are. Yes, and I'll make sure that Luke's character. I'll check because Luke's playing in the fundraiser, so you will see Eleator, the son of Melf, back. So yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about memorizing spells. So with spellcasters, there are a lot. John, that was a great way to do it. Was give them bonuses like clerics, right? That's another way to do it. I think that gives them a lot more. Also, items, gear. A lot of characters have these what I call bonus slot items. You can even look at Horror in the Hools. Those spellcasters have slot items. So it's a robe of necromancy, base armor class 7. So access brace with a +1 to second level spell. So I give them items to add slots to. It's another way to do it. Mages bonus spells. That's Greg. That's exactly what we're talking about. Figure out ways to give them bonus spells, items, gear, special gear that they find. If they find a robe, a spellcaster's robe that is whatever, has, you're not going to have a thief taking that item. It's going to go to a spellcaster. So Anna, have you ever thought of like using gear to compensate in certain instances?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But I also, one of the things, and that I think is key, is to think how much can you have bonuses, meaning how high can bonuses
That's
go. So I want to have like a lot of things that you can
great
in
point, Rascal.
proficiency bonus you can get +6 on
Okay.
it. So I want to have like basically you can have +5 ability bonus, +6 proficiency bonus, and maybe another +5 whatever bonus. And that, so I'm thinking about limiting the number of absolute bonuses. You can't get super ridiculous. That is like a cutoff. Whatever happens, you don't have more than +20 or something like that. You can't have more than +20 on the roll or something. So that's one of the meaning that should be maybe gods or someone like that, but you have to be very exceptional to get more than that. So in third edition, they started in Pathfinder. They had an interesting that if you had two bonuses of the same type, only they didn't stack, only the biggest ones. So if you had a magic bonus of +3 and a magic bonus of +4, or a proficiency bonus of so and so, or whatever type of bonus, they were a bunch of different types of bonuses that were listed. I remember 5 or 6 different ones. You can have an ability bonus, you can have like a skill bonus, you can have a conditional bonus, or whatever it was. And these stacked as long as they were different, but the two of the same didn't stack. And that was one way of trying to mitigate +60 rolls and stuff like that could happen once. But in third edition, I think there were a bit too many of them.
Okay.
So because they became difficult to double, triple, whatever check that you had. Or did I have a so and so conditional bonus, so and so whatever bonus? So in 5e you have the advantage disadvantage, and that simplify it, and they have gone really hard and say you can either have advantage, disadvantage, or none of the two. If you have double advantage, it doesn't stack. I'm going to how in my house rules I'm going to say that advantage and disadvantage can stack, but I'm going to probably limit it to 3, so you can get 3 advantage stack on top of each other and 3 disadvantage, because that gives a bigger range of things. So you get a system that is a little bit swingier, which might be fun, or that's one of the things that I'm toying with in order to tweak the balance, because I want it slightly swingier, can be fun without getting it terrible, because each advantage or disadvantage is like a +3. So that will be like +3, +6, +9, or vice versa, so to speak. So that makes something almost guaranteed or almost impossible if you have a 3, meaning you don't. And I'm going to. It will be something like all characters, for instance, even low level, can attempt to attack multiple times. It's just that if you're not a trained fighter, if you're really trained at using a weapon, you can attack 3 times with something, and then you can do that without any disadvantage. But if you are 0 level or 1st level and say, I just so angry, so I just want to chop at him as many as possible, then you get 1 attack with no disadvantage, and then you get a 2nd attack with disadvantage and a 3rd attack with double disadvantage. And that way you can still do it, but it will be difficult, so to speak.
Cool.
And so on. So that is something I'm toying with doing that. That's something I need to do some test combat to see if it actually, how well it works. But I like to have that as a way of tweaking with that idea.
And
Yeah.
we as DMs are constantly game testing stuff as
Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
we DM. I do it
Yeah.
constantly. You'll
Yeah.
see these classes I throw out there, or monsters I'm testing, or
Yeah.
items all the time in the game, and I'll even do it
Yeah.
with Ed's group or your group, Anna.
Yeah.
And there, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care, because
Yeah.
it's not going to imbalance the game that much,
No,
to
but
test
yeah.
something. But you get to
Mm-hmm.
see the little quirk.
Yeah.
So a couple things brought up in chat here. I really appreciate the chat. Rasko brought up
Yeah.
a great point. Die 4 for mages. Okay, die 4 for
Oh, you're
mages.
talking he
Hit
dies.
points.
Yeah.
First
Mm-hmm.
level, it's max hit points for me. So
Yep.
I've always done that, max hit points. So if you have 15 con and you're a mage, you get 5. Now, let's check this out. Not the norm, but we have, if we look under our specialty proficiencies, we come down here to where's it? Toughness. This is one you can't lose from losing con. +1 hit point per level. You can't take this twice. I've had mages take that at first level and not be proficient with a weapon. Just like, why do I need to be? If I'm attacking with a weapon, there's something wrong. So a lot of characters take that. So that'll rank. And I know Dale always asks, how do your characters have such high hit points? A lot of it has to do with me being generous on die rolls and then the toughness ability.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've wanted to tackle that too, because I feel like the lowest level, and I will often kind of use 0 level. So I want to beef up them at the bottom by giving them a higher start value without adding more for each level, because that means that they are much beefier at the start, but it doesn't mean if you have a few extra hit points at 10th level, doesn't matter much. So I actually have, you have a base hit points as different creatures, depending on your size. If you're a tiny creature, you have 4 base hit points. If you're a small creature, you have 6. And if you're a medium creature, you have 8. And if you're large, you have 12, and a huge 20, and a colossal have 100. And so on. So that's the base. Just being a biological being, you get that many hit points. And then you get a D6. Is the base hit die. So if you don't invest anything in getting beefier hit dice, you will get a D6, and then you.
So you don't have any D4s.
Exactly, no D4s.
Okay.
I'm thinking about having a rule and saying I want to learn something else, so I turn myself more frail, so to speak, so you can get a decent disadvantage instead. Like, I want to be the world's best necromancer, and then you have to sacrifice it by getting a worse hit die or something like that. So that's something you can toy with to have as a consequence. For instance, you serve a horrible deity that will take life force from you. From now on, you only get a D4 hit die or something like that. You become frailer, so to speak, or closer to death or something like that. So as a more thematic, I do it. And you roll. I simply give maximum at the first level. So a human have basically like 12 hit points or something to start with. That's at first level. So that's what they get. So you get the hit die as first level. So you start with 8 hit points plus constitution bonus at 0 level. So and then you get another 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 hit points at first level when you take your first hit die.
So Razkill's brutal. Our brutal DM, he says.
Yeah.
Die 4 plus 6 plus 1 die 4 to start. Oh my gosh, man.
But it's also a different edition, meaning 5e is a hit point.
Jeff, too.
You're basically a bag of hit points.
Yeah.
And the rule system 5e is like, I think it was Sly Flourish that said it's simply about
Speaking of Sly Flourish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking
yes!
But he said that 5e is basically to take some, or maybe it was Sean Mervyn. I forgot. One of the two.
Sly Flourish.
Yeah.
Next week?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So Sean Mervyn. There was someone said that way more famous than me, that 5e is basically to cut down reduce the other ones, the other side opponent's hit point faster than you lose yours. That's because everything is measured in hit points in 5e. Way more. You have no ability damage, and all the damage types, they still drill down your hit points. So 5e is a game centered around large amount of damage and large amount of hit points. So if you compare to first edition or old school, then my numbers are probably not that high comparatively, but they are a little bit higher than standard 5e at the beginning. Meaning if you're a first level character, will have double the amount of hit points in my house rule compared to standard 5e. But the 10th level will only have 10% more. So, or in the 20th level, I don't think it will matter any at all, so to speak. So you will have a few at the top that will be 1% more or something. Meaning when you have 250 or 300 hit points, it doesn't matter if you have 5 more or not. So
true.
Yeah.
Back to mages, some other things. So if you are a part of a guild, a wizard's guild or whatever, normally when you go up, you get to choose 1 spell, right? I double it to 2. that right off the bat. There are certain adventures that you do that the guild may send you on where they go, we're going to give you extra access to the library so you can choose more spells. That's another thing I do.
But you have that regulated in the rules.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't. That's something that will be in campaign. If you level up, if you level up and you're way up in the boondocks and there's not a scroll in sight, you will get none.
Well, you have to go. You have to go there and train.
Exactly. You have to.
You have to go there and train.
So it's
you're only getting
circumstantial.
one.
It's all circumstantial.
Absolutely.
So to speak, it's not in the rules for me. It's all in the campaign story. So
absolutely.
You find a spell book or whatever.
And you're allowed
it's different if you're a cleric or druid or something, because then you can figure it out or pray for them, so to speak. Or you can research, but that will take downtime, and it might be difficult as a wizard to do that out in the field somewhere.
So there's a lot of things I've added into the mage, into the spellcasters to get them some benefit. Now, go ahead. What was your question?
That was good. I ask you a question about game balance and wizards. Cantrips. Do you use cantrips? No. No,
I don't. And the reason I don't is, I don't like. There's something else I put into the game. I've play tested. I don't like the 5th edition Rare Frost. That drives me freaking insane, right? I hate rinse and repeat stuff. I've also done this to the point where I'll say you get a wand of, fireballs. And on your sheet, a lot of the new, I've been playtesting it with a lot of your groups, Anna. And there's an RC2 on there next to the charges. And I was like, what does recharge? 2 rounds. Gotcha. Not fireball, 3 rounds in a row, burning. I hate that. I want variety in my play from my spellcasters. Now, if you have memorized 4 magic missiles, that's part of the game, and you don't have any other variety of spells. But the wands, that's why I'm very judicious with the way I handle wands, because I just don't want that. I also make it not as easy to get charges as I used to. So another thing. What about everyday magic and high magic cities for tradesmen? So that's part of the gameplay, Wayne. So it's like, there can be cantrips, and if you want to do a little like trick spell or whatever, I don't need that as a memorized spell on my list. Does that make sense? If you I'm going to do a little, that's you're a wizard. You can do that stuff.
Ties into how you look at magic in your world.
Tim does cantrips.
Yeah.
That's
I want cantrips because I want spellcasters to have something that they don't run out of. But what I'm thinking of is now in gap balance is, do I want high level cantrips to increase in power as you level up? Meaning, is an acid blast or acid bolt or whatever, acid splash, is that if a 20th level archmage cast acid splash, is that more powerful than a newbie casting it? So I'm thinking about adding like your proficiency bonus to damage or something like that to cantrips. Or something, so you can have an ability to make your cantrips more powerful as you level up in magic, so to speak. You get
magic missile alone, probably one of the best spells ever made. Right. For first level 1 die 4 plus 1, no save on hit. 3rd level 2, 5th level 3, 7th, 9th, boom, 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 boom. So you get 13th level. A 13th level wizard is going to cast 7 die 4 plus 7, no save. Can separate all the targets out. Now, also, in 2nd edition, they tried limiting it. Fireball was 10 die 6 max and all that. I'm like, no. Why would you have a spellcaster limiting that when, as you saw 2 Thursdays ago, a Death Knight could do a 20 die 6 fireball? Right, just alone. That scalability drove me a little crazy when I came in. That's something I eliminated right immediately from 2nd edition.
But one thing that I miss a lot in spellcasting is that spells are they don't have hit and miss. A lot of spells you cast them and so on, and I want to have more spells should either have a hit roll or an area saving throw, meaning a fireball affects an area, so it should be a save. So
absolutely have saves for half damage.
So spells that do damage should fall into one of the 2 categories, with a few exceptions like magic missile. But I get to that in a second. I think it's to have meaning an attack roll
There
with
are
a lot of
some.
spells.
Even
Yeah.
in old school, there are some. Mel
Mhm.
Sassadaro in particular, everyone
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to
And
roll
I
it on
think
the fighter
yeah,
table.
yeah, I think it
Yeah.
should be standard that
Vampiric
spells, yeah,
touches.
that's exactly, spell that do damage should fall into one of the two categories. They should either
Area
have an
effect.
attack roll, or they should have or affect an area, and then they have a save. Period. That should be the two, and difference. And then it also, because that becomes part of the game balance.
Yeah.
That means that if you're higher level and so on, instead of just increase the damage, you will increase your hit accuracy, and that will do an enormous amount of plus. That will make you way more powerful without making the spell more powerful, so to
What
speak,
I'm
in a
going to
way.
come back to you on that, Anna, is
Yeah.
that in my play style is going to slow my game down a lot.
Yep.
When I don't, that's
Mhm.
why I'm not going to
Yep.
go. I love that there are spells with no save. Whether
Yeah.
that's good or bad, I'm going to give you an example of a spell that has no save that I toned down, and you're gonna. And if you
Yeah.
don't agree with me, old schoolers, it's okay.
Mhm.
Slow.
Yep. Yep.
Third level spell. It's area effect, friend or foe, whatever. And you can
Yep.
get everyone in that area effect, and you make the entire other side, other party, all of them slowed. I'm like, that's too much. No save unless you have a ring of free action on or some other thing that makes you immune to holds and things like that. So it's a single target spell now for me in game. So is haste single target spell, just like the potion. A change I made. I only made that change like 5 years ago because
Yeah.
what was happening was the fireballs and the lightning bolts weren't going off. The hastes and slows. It was a race to see who got the haste or slow off, and I was like, enough of this. Enough of this haste race. So that was a one, but there's no save on that because it's not a damage spell. And but slowing the main fighter, we saw that happen with Darling's character Molly. In the battle on the jousting field, right? Oh, Molly Hatchet. Yeah. So let's see what we got in chat here.
And Phantom and Jay, you have now. Let me just explain
for it.
what I think about Magic Missile, and I think Magic Missile is one of these exceptions because it's in the nature of the spell. The missile is magic. You're not just casting a ray of something or whatever. It's one of these spells that does considerably less damage than a whole bunch of other spells. But the trade-off is that it hits every time, so to speak, and that is one of the trade-offs. So a few spells should definitely be an exception, but those should be careful and they should give something else. Meaning if there will be like no save or no to hit, then you have to limit them some other way, so to speak. Either make them really high level spells, or in like a Magic Missile, you make them do less damage. And you also carefully choose a small die and you give some extra pluses. So it's not so swingy. You get a small amount of damage, but you get a fair certain damage. So in the Magic Missile, I think is in that way a great spell. When it comes to cantrips, I would much prefer to cantrips. They're not powerful enough to be area of effect. So that means that they need to have a to hit number, which means that then they can still do as much damage as a Magic Missile. They can have a fairly high damage roll, but they still have to hit, which means that they will be fairly useless against advanced tough enemies, and they will also grow in their, I would say, power level automatically when you're higher level, because that means that you have a much higher to hit roll. So that means that wizards that are high level, their cantrips will scale a lot, so to speak.
Okay.
Just without having to tweak the spell itself.
So sorry. So Anna, on a tangent, Scottish Jeff agrees with me 100%. So does Baker. Look, it's an observation. These are observations, and this is the art of balance. Observations I have done, and I'm not saying do them in your game, but I'm saying this is what I'm doing. This is what Anna's doing, and let's just share them. So.
Oh yeah, and it's about play style, and it's also about the addition, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes with an addition, so to speak. So and take game balance, and now we have another. Now we're talking about the rules, numbers, and the hit and stuff. But you touched, Jay, on another balance that is kind of very similar to this, but a little bit different. And that's the balance between low and high level play. And that's an interesting because, and that is something in old school gaming, like first, second edition, especially first, there was very little balance between low and high, and they were different for different characters. Wizard and compare that to the thief, for instance. The thief get fairly powerful right away, get a lot of cool stuff right away, and can be really useful and skillful and stuff from the first and move up. But a wizard is basically powerless at low level and then becomes enormously powerful at the really, really high level. And that was kind of intentional. You wanted someone who wanted to be that uber powerful wizard at high level to have to suffer through the first 10 years of play, or at least years of play. And that was part of the character. So to have an unbalanced game in some sense can actually be part of the fun of the character of the game. But then it needs to be kind of almost spelled out that why you're doing it. And then third edition come and everything's supposed to be.
Then everything's a race to the 16th, 20th level.
Yeah, but it's also much more level. You climb in small incremental levels regardless of the class. So there's no huge difference between that. Started in 4th edition. That was very mechanistic edition. And you looked at the numbers, and a 5th level fighter and a 5th level wizard can do almost identical numbers of damage each round. It was just a matter of calling it a spell or weapon attack. And they had various special surges and things that did mechanically almost the same. It was just called different. A lot of people like that because that was ultimate game balance. I didn't like it because it was very little thematic fun and it was mechanistically very similar. But for some people, they really love it because game balance is important, and to do cool mechanic stuff in cool ways, then 4th edition was really cool. But for me, no, I want game balance, but not that much game balance. That was a little bit too much. I don't want all the different magic should not function the same way as using a sword, and that takes away some of the fun for me. I want things to work a little bit differently. Meaning, if you attack with weapons and stuff, should function a little bit differently from using magic.
So a couple things. Chat is on fire. So
yeah,
there's
awesome.
so much going on. So Jeff, Rock the Mud is another one I have a serious problem with, but I usually solve that by placement, where it's off a little bit. Oh, it's only a foot deep, so they can get out. I've done a lot of stuff with that, because I don't want those things where I got them all. I like the stinking cloud. You fail, you're puking. You can get out after a couple rounds. It's not. I hate the permanent gotchas. Even a whole person is only around per level. So I think game balance is also affected by scenarios and locations of terrain. Yeah, it is. Yep. It is. Rock to Mud used on. Wow.
Odysseus BB. Yes, you got me. I was going to say that that falls back to me to try to redesign and to squeeze it into the same. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a lot for me. It's. You see, because I am thinking the stream world too. I always think that way, and I want to get in. My goal is 2 to 3 good fights on a night, and so it's and my guys would. Bill, are you there? Bill, the Master Crafter. I put a question to you if you're there still. Give me 2 to 3 classes you think are overpowered in our game and why. Let me see if he answers at some point, and we can go over them. I'm going to give you. All right, I'm going to bounce around here. I think we covered enough on mages here. Thank you, Patrick, for doing that. So let's go to this. Let's be honest. This class is overpowered. Lenlikovka's Archer is a little bit overpowered, right? We're going to admit to that Leonard. I love Leonard, and I love this. This is our first class we used that was published outside of Player's Handbook. Op really depends on this specialized. Cleric's at 3rd with a whole person. Archer's at 7th. Yes, and we're going to talk about that too. Cleric and Mage is starting at 8+. I don't know about Cleric. Mage is starting at 9th. Yeah. They're not OP, but their power level goes up. But that's good. But I'm thinking of some of these things. So Bill, the Archer. Let me go to let me put Best of the Dragon Volume 3 up. It's better. I'm sorry. I'm not as prepared as I should be
Yep.
because of football.
Odious BB, yeah, that is a great point. You have between
Go for it.
that 3.5. You have the the difference between conjuration and evocation and stuff, and that is a lot of that is between area effect and touch or direct hit spells, so to speak. So yeah, it's good. 5e is in that sense a simplified version of 3.5, so it becomes a little bit stereotypical, more stereotypical than 3.5, but less stereotypical, less mechanistic than 4e.
There we go.
So 5e is basically some sort of best of or in the middle of edition compared to a lot of the others. So yeah, but that's a great point.
So observations. Len gives the archer 3 hours at 7th level. Love it. Gary gives Cavaliers, not Elven Cavaliers, Cavaliers 3 hours and even 4 at higher levels for Cavaliers. I'm like, this is a problem. Specialized fighters, more arrows, and we're like, we got to stop this. We got to put a stop to this because it's just like, So I talked to Bill, Alan, the whole crew, and I said, we try and make our specialty classes, each one has something that no one else has. The archer in our game, the archer class is the only character that can fire 3 hours per round ever, and that happens at 7th level.
Yeah.
But which is right in the class. But this table's crazy. Also, another thing, elves get +1 with bow. Elves, usually have 17, 18 decks. More pluses. In this, bows are +1 above and beyond. So a +1 blow functions as +2. We eliminated that. Only arrows get an extra plus. That solves some of the problem with the creep on this. Just so one little tweak that we took out on this class. Also, we've been tweaking around a little bit where they can use some different spells than these that Len put in. He has an updated class that he did with clerics, just showing you some balance. This is Special Dragon Volume 3, Jeff, which is, I gave out, how many of them did I give out every 1,000 followers? I gave out 10 of them, at least, yeah, so Elf Archers must be insane hitting at point blank. All right, look at this. Let's just say a 7th level. Yeah, they're like +7, +8. Anna's character, Nera, she's an archer thief, which you'll see in a couple weeks. I bet you I have her right here. Do I have her right here? I have her somewhere. I don't know where I put her. I have all those guys for the game coming up. Here we go. Let's see what. Here, let me get Nera out for everyone. This is Anna's. She's an archer thief multi-class. Nera. +6, +2. She's 5th. She's 5/6. +6, +2, with a no wonder a non-magical longbow. So that's why. So there you go. So,
but I think it's a temptation to make missile weapon, especially bows, overpowered because 3rd edition Pathfinder 1 had the same issue. Bows were in slightly overpowered because they did a D8 damage and they had long range, and it was easy to, because you standard had 2 attacks with them, which I think it's overpowered. So you easily could shoot more of them because that's the thing. So I want to use standard only have 1 attack with it. So you have to use multi-attack just like with any other weapon. That's one of the limitations I do. Another limitation I have with bows is that bows are easy to use up to normal range. If you want to shoot longer than normal range, then you have to have then you have to start to ballistic or put them in using lobby them in, so to speak, because it's not the direct shoot weapon more than normal range. If it goes beyond normal range, like 150 feet or so with the longbow, and if you can shoot up to like six times that length, but then you have to put them in using ballistic, so to speak, and you have to shoot them really high and go down, and that requires mastery. Only someone who's really skilled with a bow, and it also means that you can do it indoors if the ceiling height is low, then you can't hit anything. Or the same thing in a forest. If you see someone and want to hunt someone, you can't shoot through the trees at someone longer than long range. That's the difference with that one of the benefits of using instead of a bow, you use the crossbow. because a crossbow has a much higher pounds, so to speak. You can the bolt is smaller and goes with higher speed, so that way you can shoot much longer, and it's a direct shoot weapon.
No heart bows, Sam.
Yeah. But then you have the drawback with crossbows. Crossbows are great sniper weapon, much better than bow, but the problem is that low rate of fire. They take a long time to reload.
Heavy crossbows, 1 every 2 in the game.
So you
fire it and you run into melee. Then 1 shot melee.
Exactly. Yeah. That's going to be my limitation too. So bows are, if you're really skilled and you're outdoors on an open field, then they're really, really dangerous, and they're dangerous up to a range too. But indoors at really long range, they are difficult, and they also require way more training. The crossbow is much easier to use, but it takes forever to load it. So those are the okay, awesome. Yeah. Yep. So these are things in order to try and balance the missile weapons versus other weapons, so to speak. So
and what's up, Sam? How you doing, man? Thanks for hopping on.
Hello.
Howdy.
How you doing, man?
Got some echo
got
here.
Some feedback on you, yes. So it's on your end there.
If you have some headphones, that would work. Yeah.
Or muting, press to talk. Sam will be working on that. So
yep.
That let me see. Testing.
Yeah,
that sounds like it helped. There you go. Yeah,
I just muted the feed from.
Yeah, mute Twitch. That's all you know, because now you're going to get to hear everything. Perfect. So so all I'm saying is, Len wasn't a genius. Was a genius, but he missed some things. And even Len's genius needed to be tweaked by us in our game. It just had to happen just to make it a little more balanced. And Bill brought it up earlier too. There's also classes like what we were getting was everyone wanted to be when the Cavalier class came out. Bill, I want Bill to answer this. Bill, what did everyone want to be when the Cavalier first came out? Let's see if he answers this. I want to see if he goes on that, and then you'll see this problem we had for balance when Arcana came out. The wonderful, and once again, how many of you use Dragon 72 over the Arcana? There you go. Yes, Bill got it right off the bat. That's it. Well, that too. But the Dark Elf Cavalier, with no penalty in either hand, wielding, they would get, like, when they turned 11th level, they get 9 attacks every 2 rounds. According to the rules. It was freaking crazy. And I was like, enough of this. Cavaliers aren't dual-wielding machines. They're meant to fight with shield. They're meant to joust, as you say. Yes. And we got away from that, me allowing all that bullshit. The dual-wielding Cavalier drove me crazy in the early days, in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, and we got away from it finally. Yep, good one there. Dale, you got it. Cavalier Paladins were... We had to figure out how to balance them as well, and we did that was a simple fix, Bill. Do you want to tell everyone what we did? That was a super simple fix. Here's the Cavalier article from Dragon 72, which we use over the Arcana version. That was a simple fix on Paladins. Not Protection from Evil is number 1, but number 2. In Arcana, it says, they're a subclass of Cavaliers now. No, they're not. You can do a Paladin that's still a subclass of a fighter, or a Paladin that's a subclass of Cavalier, and they have different benefits. So you have 2 different types of Paladins in old school. I don't know what that does to 3rd edition. Sam, you played a lot of 3rd edition. How are Paladins in 3rd?
They're generally considered somewhat weak, mostly because they're a little more difficult to optimize.
Okay.
However, they are also generally more powerful because the simple reality is they get spells. And 3E had a really spell-focused system. If you had some spells, you were definitely better than any mundane character, any non-caster. If you had full casting, you were better than any partial caster or specialized caster. And then, of course, you had, your full wizards, clerics, and druids. There was even a name, Codzilla.
What was it called?
Codzilla, cleric or druidzilla.
Oh, my God.
Godzilla. because of all the ridiculous things you could really do with clerics and druids. Yeah, a lot of this comes to the changes they made for 3E that heavily broke a lot of the old balance.
Right.
Probably the biggest thing, especially for casters, was when they decided on the 15-minute adventuring day, aka 4 encounters before you take a rest.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know about you, but I mean, just going by, for example, say tournament modules.
Yeah.
How many encounters do you usually have? Do your players usually go through before they call it a day and rest for the night to recover spells?
Until we finish. Now, that's a good point. Now, none. The way in my live streams, unless it goes multiple weeks with my players, then maybe, right? But if you notice, because of my style, Anna, how many times have I let Ed rest in all the adventures?
One. Yeah. And,
Right.
and I think that's a good point, Sam.
Yeah,
but I also
that's a
think
great
this
point.
is another interesting balance that I think is important, and that's the in and out of game balance, so to speak. Do you simply, a lot of DMs, and especially if you organize play and conventions and stuff, you have to kind of play by the rules, and you have to treat all of this as meaning, okay, the rules says this, that means that we have to do this. So it's an out of game regulation, meaning you read the rules and you follow the rules. That's what you need to do in organized play, and if you play in conventions and stuff, and you simply label it 5e or 3.5 or Pathfinder or CNC, then you have to follow these rules, and it becomes an out of game regulation of this stuff, and the balance comes from the out of game rule. But if you label and say, this is my game, like Jay is doing and I'm doing in my house game, then you can regulate this from an in-game perspective and simply say, no, you can't rest now. The situation is not like you can rest. I don't care what the rule says, you can't rest now. And you treat it from an in-game perspective. And Jay does that really well and hard and tough, so to speak.
Oh.
But that's two different ways, and both of them are right, depending on the type of game you're running, I think, and the condition of the game, so to speak.
Right, but absolutely right there. That means any spellcasters in a 3E game have an expectation of 3 to 5 times the number of spell slots of a spellcaster of equivalent level in AD&D.
Yeah, if it's just more than 15 minutes between the encounters, or like an hour between encounters, you can just like, okay, you come in there with all the resources ready again, so to speak.
Right. Now, the second thing that aggravates that is saving throws. In AD&D, your saves persistently get better.
Yep.
In 3E, they persistently get worse.
Because the goal number is so much higher, right? You need a 40 now, right? Yeah. So
it's not just, it goes up. Every spell level, it's actually one more difficult, and usually your own bonus to saves is not going up by 1, and that's before you factor in all the other things, including the spellcaster ability score.
Yeah, and since things you can inflate things so much, that means that if you're not specialized in something, you're screwed way more than it's a system for optimizers and min-maxers, because if you min-max and optimize, you can get really high levels on a bunch of stuff.
He hasn't been on long for a long time. Casey was perfect.
And for a lot of people, that is a great way of playing, and that's part of the fun to get an extra plus on something.
Right. Oh, no. Pluses are great, but like I say, so in AD&D, you're hitting mid-levels. You're going to start, okay, so now we're saving on 12s or so. You're getting to name level, you're saving on 10s or better. Mm-hmm. And then if you throw in some magic, that could even be lower.
Range of protection, yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Right. In 3.5, no, you're almost constantly facing needing 12s or better.
I didn't know that. I did not know that at all. I did. I
that
never
was
thought
part
about
of it.
that. Wow.
Yep. That's why. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Another thing that magnifies spell slots is they moved a bunch of utility spells down to 0-level spell slots. Read magic, detect magic.
I hate that.
Right. So now you don't need to waste you don't need to decide, it's like, do I want to read magic on the scrolls we're going to find, or do I want to do another sleep spell or magic missile? Oh, no longer a choice.
Yep.
You've got them as cantrips.
Mm-hmm. But
And then, of course, 4th and 5th edition, you can't trip all day long.
yeah, but one of the let's go back to the saving throw discussion, because one of the things they did in 5e was to simply say, okay, everything is between plus 2 and plus 6. So you have a proficiency bonus that you simply put on things, and that reined in, so you can only have from plus 2 to plus 6. There was no plus 8, plus 10, or whatever you maximize, you limit that way. Pathfinder 2 did the same thing. You tighten up the math, and you say this within this, you can only play within these limits, so to speak, and yeah. So that kind of made it more balanced by tighten up the math, so to speak.
Unfortunately, 4E, and they carry this into 5E, introduced something when relation to math. They kept trying for this mathematical perfection of the game.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And if you go and you read the design notes and stuff, you look behind the scenes, pretty much their goal is that no matter what level you are, you need an 11 to hit or an 11 to save eternally. So there's
right, because it goes off. Yeah,
and that was versus a balanced encounter.
Yeah, but
that's another balance we can get into later.
Yeah, there's no sense of ever really getting better there. You're always going to be trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that.
At having a 50% chance of doing whatever it is.
Well, if you hit something at your level, you should have a just over 50% chance of hitting or doing damage. If you go against something but that's the basic. It was calculated against a balanced encounter.
Yeah, and the thing is though, that's going to fail when you have certain attack abilities that stack up the damage heavily. So then if you fail with your super power attack, that does 20d6, but you succeed with your regular wimpy attack that does 3d6.
We have another guest coming on. He actually should. Oh no, it's ever mysterious Tim. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. We got Sam on and we got Anna on. We're talking balance tonight, Tim.
Yeah.
The arts of balance.
Perhaps I'm not the best one for that.
Me neither.
Some have considered me unbalanced.
How you doing, Tim? There you go. Poltel had.
Good. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be on.
We started late because of the so it's
I was out visiting my mom 80th birthday.
Excellent to hear. Excellent to hear. So Sam brings up a great point that makes me feel that you and I, Tim, are in good hands, that we stayed in 1E, 2E all this time. I think the saving throw system for 1E, 2E is great, with the get range of protection, maybe a cloak here, maybe an item that gives you something.
No, I want to interject and say, yes. I think it's crap of the simple fact that it doesn't. You simply get one value, like 11 or better. You can always succeed. Doesn't matter what the threat is or the different. There's no
you can put
difficulty
minuses on saves.
Yeah, you can put, but I want a system that is more upfront, so to speak. You get a plus on your die. Yeah.
You can separate, like, it doesn't need to be poison, paralyzation, and death magic. You can separate them out. So
they are separated on my character sheet.
On your character sheets, I agree, Jay. They are, and so I use the same.
Yes, so that's all right, Anna. We can disagree. Agree to disagree.
But I like the fact that you had difficulty classes. You can say that something is very difficult or something is very easy, and that means that. And you simply, what you can see on your character sheets is how much better than ever. How good am I at doing this? And then
well, like dwarves get pluses against poison and magic, and so do halflings. And then there's sometimes it's weak poison. You get a +2 on your save.
Yeah.
Scottish Jeff just asked a question I want all three of us to think about when we DM. This is a great question. What is the biggest nerf you had to do to keep balance in your game for us over the 40 years? Go ahead,
I have a simple answer for 3.5.
Go for it.
In the Magic Item Compendium, they introduced the concept of item levels. Now, in the core rules, it was just this idea that no magic item a player character has should be worth more than half their total wealth by level. The Magic Item Compendium changes this, so it's now effectively 1/2 of the gold they gain per level or maybe about a quarter or 20% to 25% of their wealth by level.
Mm-hmm.
By obsessively following that, I have managed to keep the system reasonably stable up to about 15th level.
Okay.
As opposed to it usually collapsing wholeheartedly around 10th or 11th level.
Interesting.
Of course, the thing is that includes some, again, heavy changes. For example, a +1 sword is, I think, like a 4th or 5th level item.
Okay. Yeah,
and the concept of not getting a magic sword by second level is outrageous to most people.
Do you give out masterwork? Do you give out masterwork?
Yes, you can get masterwork.
There you go. So that solves the problem at earlier levels. +1 hit, 0 damage.
Somewhat, there are still some creatures that can only be hit by magic. Well,
I know, but then you got your
damage reduction versus anything but magic weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one player who was completely berserk frenzying over that. He insisted his entire build required him to have a magic sword before he hit second level.
My nerves in here.
I'm so glad I'm so good at ignoring the ones I don't like. So as a DM, so that's good.
But now you got to remember, we're doing this amongst friends. We've been playing together for 40 years, and so there's stuff that the nuances between people that Sam's talking about. Hey, maybe you've known this guy 20, 30 years, Sam, old friend. That's like that, right?
Oh well, yeah. No, this group's
that's exactly
20th year.
Yeah, exactly.
23rd year.
But let's go around the table because I'm interested.
Tim, what's yours?
Nerfed. Yeah.
I've been so distracted by thinking about what he was talking about. The question is, what is the
biggest
nerf you've had to do? I know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I know what he's going to say.
Biggest nerf I've had to do about magic items?
No,
or about any
game,
type of rule that you
that's
nerfed.
it for you. Taking away magic items for you. You've done multiple Mordenkainen's disjunctions on the party, and you've yes.
I did one to myself when Fensa got fireballed by the Wizard of Id.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was funny.
And I made all his magic items make a save because he had accumulated legally and fairly just an unimaginable amount of stuff. So I made him roll all the scrolls. He burned up a ton of stuff, and then I did the Mordenkainen's disjunction on the city-state group.
Yeah, and it still wasn't enough.
Sure was.
No, you took away some stuff from my character Dervillia just recently.
Well, no, the crime lord did. I mean, he's the crime lord. The crime lord.
So I'm going to tell you two for me. Number one is right here. This melee specialist attack table skewed everything when we decided to allow. Now, this is just for straight fighters in our game. Here it says Rangers. We added the fighter paladin in here. I nixed all that. Just the fighters. That's part of an inherency of their classes. Now, Cavaliers are different. Duelists are different. They're all separate by rule. But this weapon specialization is just for me, straight class fighters. That's number one. Number two, you got to go to the original Dungeon Master's Guide.
You also nerfed the specialized archery as a specialized bow. You nerf that big time
because the archer supersedes this.
Well, but
you're dead on. No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So no double dice damage here because the archer supersedes that. If there was no archer class, it'd be a different story. Here's number two. Do we want in the game an item that you could have an activated charge and it opens up a hole and it swallows a good cleric and he's gone with no save? Do we really want a Talisman of Ultimate Evil? Sam's laughing. Do we really want a Talisman of Ultimate Evil in the game? Do we really want all these items that are in this game that are no saving?
We want it in the world, Jay, but not in the game.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to see Spheres of Annihilation anymore. You may hear about them. You're not going to see no Talismans of Pure Good or Ultimate Evil. You're not going to see Robes of Eyes. You're not going to see Helms of Brilliance. There are some items I'm never going to give out to anyone ever again. That I've learned.
It's like $1 million. You hear about it, but
that I've learned from gameplay. They are going to imbalance my game. I do give out Boots of Speed still. Once in a blue moon and Boots of Striding and Spring, I do. Cloak of Poisonousness. Well, that kills you right away there, Mike, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here in this old school Cloak of invisibility. No, there are rings of invisibility in the game, Bill. He just Skarn. Mike Disney's never getting one because he breaks rule number 1. Don't complain about not having it.
I am going to give him a magic item similar to that, though.
Who? Skarn?
Mike.
How?
Well, I mean, not Skarn, but his character in my game.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm going to give him an invisible cloak. It's a cloak that's totally invisible.
Right, I've done that. I did. I said, "Here, you want to put it on? You can't see it anymore." You see, you're just picking at him. All right, let's see what Anna's answer is.
Okay, and there's 2 that are related, so I can kind of cover them in the same.
Question,
and that's
Jeff.
about it's a great question. I love it. So it's a good one, especially for this topic. But yeah, so it's high level magic, and in particular teleportation is something that I've nerfed, but I haven't nerfed and this will say it's impossible or something like that. So I try to regulate it in a way that feels kind of fantastic. So what I went about with teleportation is to say that first of all, spell casting can be detected. So high level monsters and villains and wizard stuff, they can detect spells being cast. At the higher level, the distance, and usually it's like a mile per level. So if you cast a 9th level spell that basically +1, so it's like 10 miles away, because cantrips can be like within 1 mile, unless you're underground or deep into a stone, and also within invisible sight. That's why a lot of wizards want to build towers. That's one of the many reasons, because they can be high up and they can detect spells and stuff being cast in their vicinity as a way of keeping track of things. So if you cast the teleportation, that means that someone can detect you teleporting in and out. And you can also sense where you're going. If you're fast nearby, you can kind of do a detect magic and see where they're heading, so to speak, with the teleportation. And I also made it much harder. You can only teleport to places that you've been, that you know well, so to speak. So you can teleport to with things that are within sight, meaning I see the hilltop over there, so you can teleport there because you see it when you cast the spell, so that works. But if you want to teleport and you say that, oh, I want to teleport into Ayu's temple in Doraka and kill him, so to speak, that means that if you haven't been there, it's impossible.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can do that. Is it even possible?
Exactly. But a lot of people, I've had this argument with a lot of players, and they read the text and stuff. And
if you use a crystal ball and scry on it, that's a different story.
Exactly, but scrying can also be detected. So,
you gotta have some common sense in the game.
But there are some, but I wanted to make some workarounds, because I didn't want to just hard nerf things, and so to say, because what you can do is that you can use beacons. So you can actually, if you send someone into the Ayusian in the temple, he can cast a beacon spell that someone else can use as a target to gate in. And so on, or it can be an item, can be a beacon, so to speak. So you can create, or you can have tuning forks that can be created. So you can create an artifact or something that tunes you to a certain place, so to speak. But so there are things that can help, so to speak. But then
it's like a forward observer. You had a forward observer to get eyes on, and you can just
exactly.
Show up.
Yep. That was one of my inspirations for this, so to speak. And so make it, but also high level opponents, villains like I use or whatever. He can detect this. So if he detects someone coming in with it, he might hijack you and send you to somewhere else, so to speak, when you're on your way in and stuff like that. So they really powerful ones can hijack you. So it's risk-free to teleport somewhere close in an area that is under your control, so to speak. Then
so if the adventurers have a magical glid, like guided laser identifier, they can laze the target, and you can
meaning they can see the target, or someone else is in there with a beacon and guide them in, so to speak. Then you can do it. So it's not impossible, it's just difficult and risky. And the same thing with casting like really high level magic. It's always risky, because once you start casting wish spells, resurrections and stuff like that, then you start dabbling with magic that it becomes risky. So that's a way of nerfing it.
I have a way of nerfing it too, Anna.
Yeah.
How many characters in the campaign that Tim can cast a spell wish in 43 years? player characters. How many?
2.
2.
Mm-hmm.
One's an NPC. One was yours.
Yeah.
Right.
How many priests can cast Resurrection in 43 years?
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably somewhere around there too. I don't have anywhere near as many players and characters as you, but so it's probably 10 times more common. But of the 200 or 300 players
Patrick.
I've had who have had maybe like 500 characters or something, I probably had about 3, maybe 4 characters who can cast something that. Including all the items they've had that can cast them as
Patrick,
well.
thank you. So here's on this discussion, Anna. I can see visual a mage knowing what another one's casting, but to detect someone just because they cast a spell 2 miles away, that's
it depends on they have to use arcane sense. They can either use it as a spell, or some of them powerful creatures and gods and stuff have it as an innate ability. Like IUs can probably do it, and they're especially good at it in their own territory. A god in its own domain will know all the magic being cast, unless you take enormous precaution to hide it from him, so to speak, or her, or it.
Well, I know when Jay ran, it was a solo adventure. I had my high level mage thief, and he was in high court.
I just told the story about Skeeve.
Right, and I knew that it's like if he blows some high powered magic, it's going to pull high powered attention. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I was like low teching it with cantrips and a lot of subterfuge that way.
Until you teleported into the slaver headquarters and tried killing them all. This is
that was later though. That was later. And initially, I had already taken over 1 or 2 thieves guilds by then, I think.
Yes, and then what did they do to you? What did they do to him, Sam? They cast force cage around him. You can't teleport out of a force cage, and he panicked. Did you panic? Yes, you panicked.
I was not happy about it. I was very disappointed in you, Jay.
What did you do to escape?
I think I limited wishes.
You cast a limited wish. Yes.
I never had problems with player character wishes because for my old group, I demonstrated very early on that I make the standard rule of the DM should twist a wish seem like a modest joke suggestion. What I'll do to a wish, go ahead, have a wish. I offer my players wishes just to make fun.
They're always granted by some nasty power up there somewhere. So yeah.
So
even not being nasty, it's just I will grant you what you literally wished for, and take advantage of every homonym, every dangling modifier, every imprecise modifier.
You got to get a lawyer to go over that.
I was going to say that's a spell for lawyers to interpret.
Yeah.
So my players know if I'm giving out a wish, don't abuse it. So here's an example. A character, and I forget who it was, one of the last ones I gave out, they go, look, I want one item, and they wished for a rod of lordly might. I granted it. I could live with that. I gave the wish out. They got this magic item they wanted. That was it. Boom. And that was like a 7th, 8th level character.
Yeah. But one of the biggest nerfs, one of the biggest nerfs I do with wish is that it's limited to here and now. You can't wish someone else dead. Who's
no, absolutely. I agree 100%.
That's one of the biggest nerfs. Wish can only happen in that spot where you are. You can't wish for anything that is outside where you are. That's the biggest nerf. So if you want to try and even damage IU's casting a wish, you have to be there and where he is in order to do it, so to speak. So that is one of the biggest nerfs.
Let's round table this question. What is something all of us have done, implemented, maybe not a great nerf, but implement a little tweak to your game that really you think is great and works and you want to share it with everyone? I'll tell you mine first. Okay? First. I love our critical hit and fumble tables. They're basic, they're quick, you can use them. We have repair injuries, we have, it adds a little bit of fear. It also adds a really cool effect to the games online.
You said nerf.
No, to tweak or enhance the game.
Okay.
Or maybe, to make your game better. I love the critical hit and fumble tables the way you have them set, just personally. Because unlike Len, who said there's no way to undo all that stuff and you have the walking wounded running around, which isn't true because you have dream spells and repair injuries and death doors and all that, which are all first and second edition rules. I think it really changed our game for the better. A fumble cutting off the head of a friend is hysterical.
Or their leg at the hip.
Yes, super stumpy. Remember super? Yes. So, all right, go ahead, Sam. What do you got? You got one?
Well, I do use some critical hit stuff, but I think the biggest change I've implemented is using a modification to the phased initiative of the Combat and Tactics Player's Option book from second edition.
Yep.
In third edition. One of the issues with third edition with hosing over fighters especially, but also to a lesser extent thieves, is that the iterative attack penalty. Every attack you get in a round after the first takes a -5 to hit. Worse, you can't make any iterative attacks if you do any movement more than a 5-foot step. Okay. So all that great stuff fighters can do is, yeah, they can do that great stuff if they stand still and don't do anything, which horrible. So this way you can do a move, you can do an attack, you can do another attack, but each action like that you're doing has a -5 penalty to your initiative after the first. You do it, it just takes you a lot longer to do it. A bad guy may interrupt you and do something nasty to you. It takes something out of the sails of the spellcasters, and it gives the mundane types a little more to do. They can be a little more active. They can unleash a little more damage, and not get completely outclassed by the spellcasters.
Like it. So if you ever watch our game 1E2E, if you move beyond, because of miniatures, you move beyond 10 feet, that's your action for everything in old school. So, combat's not static, so I give you a little bit of motion, but beyond that, you are not doing anything else. So I love that. I love that idea. Yeah, Jeff, I'm going to bring that up in a second here. Anna, Tim, you want to handle that? Or you want to answer that?
I have two. One that you've heard before, but I have a new tweak to it in my house rules. That it's that flanking stacks. As a way of getting, so let's say the example of if you have a fighter that is standing in a corridor, in a 5-foot door, and he has a corridor and he's meeting 50 hobgoblins or whatever, and meaning then he has no problem. He can stand there all day and defend, no problem. But if he's out in the middle of a field and those 50 hobgoblins surrounds him, that should be way easier for them to get to him and do damage and stuff. So that means that the more number, if you are 2 people that attack 1 person, then you get +2 to hit, so to speak. And if you're 3, you get +3. That's how I did it in 3rd edition and Pathfinder 1, because the armor class and to hit bonuses scaled ridiculously, and that meant that I simply let flanking stack ridiculously too. So if you had 10 commoners that gang up on a 10th level fighter, he had no problem if he was in a door or in a small room where only a couple of them can attack. But if it was an open field and they came there with all their spears and whatever and torches and whatnot, then he was in real trouble, so to speak. Because
I think that's wonderfully true.
Yeah, so good. But in 5e, you don't have armor class and to hit bonuses don't stack that much. So I had to limit it some way. So what I've done now in my house rules, I say you get a proficiency bonus boost, so to speak. So that means that a low level creature, if you have the 10th level fighter that stands and you stay in the standing open field, and you have 10 commoners that all come and say with pitchforks and say we're going to kill that evil whatever, something, the Death Knight or something, then that means that the 10th level fighter, or even let's say he's a 20th level fighter, he has +6 his proficiency bonus. And that, but the commoners, they have like 0 or +1. If there are 10 of them, that means that they will not get +10. They will get +6 maximum. If there are 6 or more that can get to them, they will get +6 as the highest, so to speak. And the creature in the middle, he keeps his +6 or whatever he has, so he's not disadvantaged that way. They are just brought up slightly towards that level. And also means that if you're a low level creator and you have lots of friends, you can gang up on someone, you gain. But if let's say you have a bunch of 15th level fighters who gang up on a Death Knight, they are so damn good at skilled, so they will not be much better just because they have a whole bunch of others around them. So that was a way of limit how much you can get in order to stay within the parameters of the rule system, so to speak. So everything is from +0 to +6. You don't get any more or less. So I wanted to keep stacking within those boundaries of +0. Yeah.
Anna, so I love your multiple. I call it swarm. So if a monster has a swarm, Murlocs, swarm, certain fast zombies or whatever, swarm attack. So, but we have that rule of 3. So even if they're surrounded, they're fighting other ones, they can still get like +4, +5, depending on one above each, one up. But there's only 3 attacking. But I really love that idea, and I've implemented it. My guys, my players agree. They like the idea too, and it works.
Yeah. So it's but you have to tweak that a little bit depending on the system. In 3.5 and Pathfinder, you can really go berserk with it and go. You can inflate it because the numbers are so inflated. So you can inflate the flanking without screwing it up. In 5e, you have to rein it in quite a bit. So because the numbers, and same thing in Pathfinder 2, you have to rein it in as well.
So Rexalis, I believe, and thank you for that comment. I believe that Sam and I think on the same wavelength, but I think Sam, you use individual initiative.
Yes.
I use group, and that's the difference.
Yeah, that
changes everything.
Like that. Right. That you can't really use that kind of phasing with group initiative.
Exactly.
It's got to be individual.
Yep, absolutely. That's the hugest difference right there, Rexalis, is because of the group versus. And let me tell you something. I would love to use individual initiative. It would double or triple my combat rounds on stream, and I need simplicity for Ed and simplicity for my guys. My guys are half brain dead when they get there, right?
You'd have to reduce the number, not 2 characters each. You'd have to make it 1 each.
Then they don't want to play that way. They don't want to play that way.
I don't roll for initiative normally. I just adjudicate. I simply say, "Oh well, you're the one initiates. You go first." Yeah. So depending on, but in certain cases, if it is like a draw and you're standing then you can roll. But most of it's kind of natural. If someone ambushes and if you don't detect them, they go first, so to speak, and so on. So I try to simply adjudicate due to the nature of the scene, and then players can object and say, well, I do want to have a roll, or please, can we do it this way, and so on. But I just say, you go first, and then that creature goes next. So I try to follow the rhythm of the story, so to speak. That should guide the initiative.
Right. I do initiative based on positioning on group. That's why I call the character up, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, but it's also good when you have miniatures like that, and you want super efficiency because you want streamlined in that sense. So it makes sense from that perspective. Yeah.
Jeff, I got a solution to that. Tim, what's yours?
All right. Well, when you first mentioned it, I jotted down, and 5 things came to mind, but
that's fine.
That long.
Discuss a couple.
One is I call it soft initiative, because I've done individual initiative, kind of static based on reaction, dexterity, load they're carrying, type of armor they're wearing, and come up with their typical speed, and that sets it. And then, of course, sometimes
speed factor. Did you use that?
I don't use.
We tried it for a bit. It was terrible.
I don't like the way they've done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even if I do die rolling, simple initiative by side, tactical considerations factor in. You're on a horse charging with your lance, and the guy on the ground wins initiative. Sorry, you get to try to hit him with your lance first.
Yep.
Just because of that tactical consideration. You 5 people set with spears. You're charging them. You win initiative. You don't get to just bypass all their spears and attack. They get a chance to hit you before you get there. So I think I like that rule. I do it whether they like it or not. Distance. I modify the distance that you can do in a round and attack based on, again, your speed, armor, and things like that. So heavily laden, 10 feet maybe. No armor, 15, 20, 25 feet. Because actually, that doesn't take a lot of time. If you really move, it doesn't take a lot of time at all. Nature of magic. Vankian magic makes me want to hurt myself. And so I have a ritualistic view of Magic. So doing rituals safely, giving up time for safety allows you to launch them in combat. Boom, 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 like they can. But they can try to cast them on the fly if they want. If they want to try to do it all, it takes about 2 rounds to do a spell. And it's any spell they know because they know it. But there's lots of risks. And then using half action and full action. If you get multiple attacks, you're not moving and attacking. You're committing multiple attacks right there. You don't get to do both. And then my crits.
So your crits are entertaining. Notorious is a good word, yeah. Which is okay because there are ways to eliminate them. So 1 second here.
Right, with crits, wearing plate armor reduces the crit.
Right.
Just like reality. The reason archery is why plate armor got developed. Nobles hated getting shot at, so they finally metallurgy built up, and they added plates and more plates and more plates until finally they were plated up, and they can't get hit by arrows very well. And so that reduces criticals.
We'll go to that one next, Armin. Great question. We'll go to that one next. Armin has a great question. Let's do that next. I want to show this. This is from Player's Option. This is this solved all the problems for critical hits. It's called Repair Injury. There are certain spells that general cleric classes get that I added back in. That's this. Also, specialty priest with the healing minor sphere can get the Repair Injury. 1d10 plus 1 if you just want to use it as healing, 3rd level, or it will repair the bone. It will repair the dislocated shoulder all the way up. That's 3rd. Death's Door was added in Arcana. So if you're in the -8, 9, you put yourself back to 0. Another healing. You're functioning again. So there you go. That's a spell I wanted to show. It's in the Player's Option.
I adopted that. That was a good idea.
Yeah, because Dream is the one spell, the lowest level spell that will replace things you lose: eyes, hands, figures, but it won't take full limbs or anything like that. So
I would make the whole eye functioning. Take at least 3 of them.
Okay. It's good. Just wanted to share that with Jeff as he brought that up. All right. Armin asked a great question. Most of these are combat. Are there any issues with balance in non-combat situations? That's a great question.
Yep.
Yeah. I know a lot of people forget that, Curtis, that spell, because they're not playing my game on a regular basis, right? So
only if they have a Rod of Beguiling. That's the only imbalance.
That is a huge imbalance. That thing, no save.
It's a good villain. It's a good villain object.
It is. So out of combat imbalances, I don't do this. I don't even know why I keep it on my character sheet. But to have someone, Sam or Anna or Tim, I can have 5 henchmen because it says maximum number of henchmen. That's kind of silly.
You kill them off anyway.
That's just a charisma thing. I mean, you could have. I say it's more like servants, followers, that kind of deal.
Henchmen are closer. Henchmen are closer than a hireling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. Also, I want there to be a little bit in city adventuring in particular. I want there to be the need to actually do something, and that is I want to go attempt to buy a healing potion. There are only certain things I allow that can be purchased. That's another thing outside of the gameplay for nerfing. You ain't buying unless it's written into the game. Like, for example, does everyone know about Carator's Trading Emporium in Narwhal? Sam, you probably remember from that article. That was a place you could swap out items, right? Okay, and it was written in. I think Paul Luby and the Brits all did that article. That's an exception, but I am really not allowing the purchasing of magic items at all. That's another thing. Maybe a scroll with a couple healing spells because there's no priest in the game, that kind of stuff. But I really limit the amount of magic that can be purchased.
I would only allow it to specially vetted people who have earned the right to get access to the specialty salespeople, and they're like fences. So good luck keeping it if it belongs to somebody else.
Yeah. The key is,
is it real?
Yeah, the key is, Armin, to keep the game fun for your players.
In In 3E, I think the big thing most people ignore or deliberately design their game to hand wave away about purchasing magic items is the gold piece limit of a settlement. You're really not able to buy a +5 sword unless you're in a large city or better. And in the Flanays, there's like a dozen of them, maybe 20 of them, all told. Does your city really have more than 10,000 people?
Good point.
No. Okay, you're not buying those big ticket items. Deal with it. And then if you have your question is like, okay, is the party going to spend a month or teleport to a big city,
right,
and back and have the time to do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't even allow that in Greyhawk City in my campaign. That's a nuanced thing, but I can understand why in 3rd edition it's necessary, right? Yeah.
There should be a grand market to do that.
Yeah, for me, the biggest imbalances I've found in non-combat situations, and I mean anything that's really not even dungeon related, is that anytime anyone who's tried to set up a downtime system, they try to use basic math, and for an old war gamer like me, those systems are so easy to outgame and optimize and outgame, especially when you're throwing skills in there. It's ridiculous. It just don't.
So,
that was one of the incentives behind my Appendix N article in the first issue of Visions. Those downtimes, they're really nice. They look good. No. But you start throwing skill systems at them, and they can be gamed so horribly.
You make a great point, Sam, and I had this happen once because Alan's character said, well, I haven't adventured for 12, 14, 15 months. I'm going to sit around making scrolls. He came back with, what was it, Tim? 20 scrolls with 5 spells each on them. I was like, well, what the frick is this?
He's very industrious. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, no. I was like, that's that. That's you ruined it for everyone. No, we're not doing that.
You didn't. He didn't really ruin it, but yeah, you got to say, look, there's those in between times. I don't like to use a game mechanic for it. I like them to be role playing and backstory developing, and then working like. Yeah. I had a character that didn't play a while. He's a high-level high-level wizard. And I said, hey, during this interim, I would like to do these things. Which of these things are you going to allow me to do?
Yeah, well,
exactly.
And then he's like, oh, you can do these. They were not exceptionally unreasonable for a 16th level wizard to do.
Oh, you're talking about Fence Again his wand.
Yeah.
Fence Again, his special rod.
Yeah, the rod. I love that idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tim. That's something that and I agree with you, Sam, too, because you can game. That's why don't write hard rules for downtime, and simply let the story go and simply do what the story, what the situation what feels good for the situation, so to speak, and only allow what you think is reasonable and screw the rules, so to speak.
Those desires for the character to do something off duty is a great way to start them in another adventure. Their business that they're running. Yeah, it keeps the lights on when they're gone or whatever. Yeah. But maybe there's some reason why there's a problem. Now they have to go inspect it. Yeah. Bam, there's the new adventure going on right there.
Yeah, and it should be. But I'm not a war gamer, so things like that is just guidelines for me. It's good to have a system, but it's just guidelines. And
I know making arrows from scratch is not that easy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Well, and once again, Len's got rules for that for the archer class.
Yeah. But I think there's one thing that I think we haven't discussed, the type of balance that we barely touched yet, and that is the big picture balance, meaning how tough is the world for the characters? Meaning, are the characters going around in a place where they are basically superheroes and they can just deal with everything? Or are they down in the abyss where everything is so deadly that just if they miss a die roll, they're dead, so to speak? Meaning those are the meaning how difficult is the general campaigning supposed to be? And that's a balance that I think is both tricky and really artful in order to do, because it's like a movie. You want the players want to have situation where they feel like, damn, we can go in and do anything. We are super. We can just go around, and if we get angry and someone, just kill it, the bastard, and whatever, and just, yeah, we want to be murder hobos. All players want to be murder hobos from time to time, but you don't want to feel like there is no danger and stuff. And then you want to run into things like, oh, my character's in peril and this might go south quickly, and you want that uncertainty. And that's the type of game balance that is, as a DM, you have to see both the long-term big picture, what kind of world do you paint for the players, but also the from encounter to encounter balance. So it's and that is kind of the overview, meaning how difficult should the game be long term, so to speak, and how much do you allow that to sway back and forth?
Go ahead, Sam. You can answer that one first.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, I mean I agree.
Yeah, players should have the ability to affect the world. They should have an ability for their actions to affect change in the campaign world on, at least, okay, depending on where the adventure is taking place, at least on a small scale, at least in their neighborhood, clearly, possibly for their kingdom, possibly for their region, possibly for the whole world. What I've said for many years is the skill of the DM is not in killing the players. Any DM
the characters,
killing the characters. Any DM with minimal effort should be able to kill any party, no matter how optimized. The skill of the DM is in making the players believe that every die roll they make is the only thing that stands between them and total defeat.
Great point. Yep.
That's
a good point.
That's a little hyperbole. Obviously, it's not going to be every die roll. But that's what it is. You can give them ridiculous plot armor, so you can continue your campaign. But you have to set the encounters up so that they believe that this decision, this tactic that they choose this round, and this die roll to support that tactic is what's going to determine whether it's success or a TPK.
It's great. It's a great point, and that is a nuance that is extremely hard to do, because you really. With first of all the way up to 20th or whatever you're playing, the situations are different.
And I know that goes directly into what Anna said about watching a movie, or I said that for example, if you watch the Star Wars prequels, nothing can be a surprise. You know who's going to be in Episode 4, A New Hope. You know who's living and you know who's dying. So what can surprise you?
But the good thing in a game, you can actually kill things more arbitrarily, let the die. Many even characters can die, and NPCs and important villains too. So you can run into surprises, and depending on your play style.
You can also kill characters, but not really kill them. I'll explain what that means in a second.
Yeah.
Look what I did a couple weeks ago with the group, The Most Beautiful. When they came across the relative Selenian, she was a Medusa now. Well, Heather's character got turned to stone. It just so happens that Little Bird's character, her mage has had forever a stone to flesh scroll on her. I technically killed her by turning her to stone, right? But they could be able to bring her back.
Or preserved her.
Well, yeah. I mean, it happened. I'm just saying that there's ways that you can really take a character out of a fight and not kill them off permanently. There are ways of doing that.
And also it's not, and things. Meaning and also I think it's important to have other goals beside combat. Meaning. And also say like this, in not about winning the battle, but winning the war. Meaning, what do you need in order to win the war? Meaning, how many battles have you go through? How many quizzes and
She did, Dale.
puzzles do you have to solve, and
Yeah.
and what do you need to figure out, so to speak? Is it going to be a cat and mouse going around finding out where the villain lives, so to speak? And so there should be challenges on multiple levels. You should have challenges that are immediate, that requires rules and combat encounters, but then there should be, these challenges should be stringed together in a bigger picture that is way beyond the immediate battle and stuff, and you should get the players to realize that, oh, there's something bigger to this. These things come from a reason, for a reason, from someone, or something like that. And meaning, how dire should that be? Meaning, if we don't kill enough of these goblins, is Thuriston going to come and kill the world, so to speak, or whatever?
Oh.
So, meaning, how dire do you need to be, and should you be, and so on and so forth. And yeah,
that's another thing too. You want to make sure that you don't get to the point where every adventure you're running is, we got to save the world.
Exactly. That was my point. Yeah.
Sorry, Ed.
Yep.
A lot of people think
Yep.
that's the way Forgotten Realms works.
Yeah.
Where Greyhawk doesn't.
Well, we all read out Tolkien and seen the movies and stuff, so we know the ring, and that's kind of the standard fantasy trope.
Tim,
and
Tim has a great point. Tell what your dad used to say about Tolkien's writings, starting with Farmer Giles of Ham. He saves the village. Come on, you don't remember what your own dad said? Farmer Giles of Ham, Tolkien's
said lots of things.
Tolkien's character saves the village. Then in The Hobbit, they save, the Undermountain. Then in Lord of the Rings, they save the world, and it's just scaled, right? So yeah. See, come on, man. Your dad said that. I thought that was poetic.
Yeah,
that sounds very literary.
Yeah, and your dad's very great with literary, but and that's the thing. All right, another example, real quick. 2 weeks ago, I ran this, right, from Dungeon 6. There's a freaking Death Knight in here. The characters are like 6th and 7th level, and he awokened him, and I threw a 20 die fireball out there, and it did like 60 some points of damage, and one of Bill's characters who was undamaged failed to save, and he died right away. And I got some bitching and moaning about it. I said, "You're all big boys and girls, your characters. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you're running around, So sometimes you just." But he died, and the NPC, everyone, our fighter mage, oh my God, my fighter mage from the Hools, she had an extra elixir of life on her. She's been saving. He's the only one that died. Went over, saved his butt from that.
Scarred over 80% of his body.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it goes. You can kill characters off without killing them off permanently. You got to make them fear. So that's a great point, Anna, and everyone's. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Running away is always an option. That rarely happens, Wayne. Rarely happens. How many people have had a group run away in an encounter in the last 5 years?
I've had it multiple times. I teach
because
them
you're crazy, Anna, with this stuff.
Yep.
You're throwing Death Knights against 4th level characters.
Oh, I'm telling them that's always an option.
They should have. I know.
Option one, yeah.
They should have, and they didn't. Jason Zavoda and the whole group should have, but they didn't at one time. I remember.
No, I think I'm the only player in your game who's had a character that actually just straight up ran away from stuff twice, and it worked out better for him than anybody else.
Yeah. True.
But that should also be for the enemy. Yeah, that should also be for the enemy, meaning most living creatures, at least in my campaign, they want to live another day. Yep. There are exceptions to it, like undead and stuff like that. They don't care. And summoned fiends and stuff like that, outsiders, they can just go home and be resummoned, so they don't need to worry. So they will fight to the death, no problem, so to speak. But regular humans, elves, goblins, orcs, whatever, they want to fight another day. So I most of them will flee or at the first sign of we can get killed, so to speak. So and they will only go in when they have a real chance of winning. Otherwise, they will just run away. They will not engage if they can't feel they will win. You have to kind of corner them first.
No, but I have learned since I was first a DM that you want the higher level, scalable evil characters. You want them at all possible. They're great repeat antitheses. You want them to get away. I've always said my two greatest regrets are that what's his name, Lareth the Beautiful and Drelzna. I killed them off right in the end of those adventures, and I wish I hadn't. in the course of gameplay. I know I could have brought him back some other way, but
I tried to get Lareth. He almost got away with my son's group because he was begging and bribing them, trying to win him over. He was offering them all sorts of stuff, and they were kind of like, "Wow, no," at the last minute.
Yeah, Dale, I'm not out to slaughter my guys. You know that, and my players. I'm out to entertain. My stream is for entertainment purposes. So yeah. Sam, what were you gonna say? I know you look like you were.
We actually had an issue with that in LG. There was a rule that when you're writing for the writers of the adventures, for the cores at least, no auto escapes for the bad guys. If they can't get away using what you've given them, their spells, their equipment, whatever, the terrain, whatever, you can't just say, and he automatically escapes to come back and attack the players again.
Okay.
And yeah, I actually had an author get upset with me about that. And it's like, but dude, it's just simply a rule. No auto escape.
Yeah, that's why gaseous form potions, teleports, dimension doors, gotta have them.
Right. Any of them, it's like put in a reason, not forget the rules and it happens.
Right.
And because that happened a lot. It happened, auto surprises, auto escape, any kind of auto stuff. And the villains don't have to obey the rules that the player characters do.
Yeah. There has to be, just make it reasonable. Make it so that it makes sense in the gameplay. And that's not hard to do.
Make it unreasonable.
Good.
My adventure I wrote where I had an ordinary, well, maybe not that ordinary, NPC class, mundane guy, blackmailing the PCs to do something for him. And he had used up his gold P, his wealth by level, to have a spell that auto raises him, cast on him. So he's like I think it was like maybe an 8th or 10th level expert, mouthing off to 12th level PCs, 12th to 16th level PCs. Why? Because he knows he has a comeback from dead automatically spell cast on him. He knows they can't actually kill him without him actually coming back from the dead and still being able to go, yeah.
Tim is infamous for contingency spells from right the unearthed.
I think they only go up to 4th level, or
I think it's 5th.
5th, really?
Yeah, because he's stone skin. You do the contingency stone skin.
But when raised dead just makes you 1 hit point.
But you can't mix. You can't mix contingency. It's a mage spell. You can't mix it with a cleric spell.
Right. I'm just riffing off of what he was saying.
Word of Recall is a great spell for clerics too. Have it on a scroll. Get it from your higher level priest and have it on a scroll. Boom, and that saves your butt. Yeah,
I do. Well, I will. I'm gonna jump in on the original question.
Please.
Can player characters affect the world? I think absolutely they can, and they get the just desserts thereof.
Yes,
depending on how they do it. Like if you're a braggart, first level guy, and you're doing great at the Mode House at Hamlet, well, one of the tradesmen is like a 10th level assassin.
Zert is running around for you.
Well, there's Zert, but there's an assassin and thief in the in the general store. Well, they hear about this, they get a contract, they're going to go beep 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 beep. They're going to poison your drink. You're done. So if you're talking big smack, you can teach your party a lesson that way, and then as you get higher level,
or if you do
what, be able to affect it.
Or if you do what, if you go out on and do what in L2 Assassin's not.
If you go out, well, in Jay's world, don't go out on your own. Don't get off the boat. Don't get off the boat.
But Gridley's back now, so you're happy.
Yeah, Gridley's fine.
So, wow, great questions. This has been a really fun discussion. I said we go to 10:15, and then we'll do shout-outs from that point on. So we got like 13 minutes left. So, something else off the top that may bother you that you're like, I need to examine this now in game, because I'm always looking and tweaking. I know that's a very general question, but let's see if we can roundtable that one. What do you have on the plate that, like, I'm playtesting this right now for a change, for a balance purpose? Could be a rule, it could be something you're doing with a spell, research, creating, just anything.
I'll say for the reverse dungeon, I've done a lot of research at specialty priests, and Jay, they would be great for the bad guy specialty priests for you.
Nice.
Because when the parties were goblin cleric types that got reincarnated as something non-goblin, and the goblin deities were like, I don't have anything to do with you. I made them find a new deity, and I gave them a number of choices. So I've explored a lot of different disgusting options for them, and they chose awesome. They chose the pretty basic ones, but I have one that I think like a bad guy.
I'll use it too, man. Give me send it to me, and I'll take a look at it. That's awesome. It's a good one. Adding more specialty priests, you can never have enough in Greyhawk. That makes Greyhawk give it its flavor. I agree 100%. So, by the way, Malden will be coming back on shortly too in a future date. We've been talking, and we're gonna have another topic discussion with Malden coming up, Anna. So, okay, Sam, what do you got there? What are you looking at? You're like, I want to make some. I want to maybe change this.
Well, I'd actually mentioned this in chat earlier that I'm experimenting now with more hit points for the player characters by level.
Okay.
Just to really front load the hit points, to cut down the need for clerics in the group, and let the party decide, you want to go for one more encounter, you definitely have the hit points, or you started with the hit points. Just leave it up to them instead of, it's just one lucky hit kills you at first level, or even at second level. A little more, make the bad guys work for it as much as the players have to work for some of their victories.
Like it. So, Curtis, I think that one is for its own show on illusions. I think we should have another illusionist show discussion. Illusionist and Shadow. I really do on that one, on the power of the illusion. Let's not go there in the final 5-10 minutes. But I think we should have our own show.
Yeah, I agree.
One quick comment on just what he's noting about them unrealistic and immediately deadly.
Yeah.
For many years, I've said, nope, it's a skill. It's a skill to craft a realistic illusion.
Yeah.
And if your craft check for the illusion is low, well, that's going to mean a much lower save.
Yeah.
So
I'll check that out, Rob. I'll check the illusionist out in CNC there. I know, Amy, you love your illusionist class. Your illusionist too. Hopefully, that time you played, you thought the balance was good. I tried. I do my best with them. So very cool. Anna, you got something?
Well, I would say I like the illusion thing. The theme that we need to show, because there's some interesting.
Yeah, I think we should have a whole show on it.
Yeah.
A whole show.
Yeah, because there's a lot of interesting things, especially when you look at the evolution of the illusion rules over the rule systems. There are some interesting things that I think every edition have something interesting to say about that.
I almost killed the whole party with the Phantasmal Force.
Oh, I know, Tim, and only Gazumba and Fensick survived.
Yep.
I remember it was 1987, and we were down in Fairfax, Virginia, right after we finished Temple of Endless Evil, and before we did.
I can't believe they didn't disbelieve
Before we did the very first Cavalier School was the name of the adventure for the founding of Altamira.
Yep.
1987. Yes.
But it's time to sum up the discussion of today's shows. So
yes, let's do it. So hit us up, Anna. Go for it.
I was just going to say there is more dimension. We stayed heavily on the rules balance and the nitty gritty of the rules, which I think is really important. But depending on how much value you put into the rules, meaning some games are very crunchy, rules heavy, and rules are very, very important. Other games are much more role play, and so on and so forth. And then other balancing. And we didn't touch on how much time should a single player get, and can they monopolize, meaning how do you spend the diversified, meaning time and attention around a table is a value that needs to be balanced, and that's another thing that we didn't touch on. I think important. So there are multiple things as a good DM you need to think about balancing, so to speak, and there's various things. Should you let meaning even if you have a complex build with a lot of different things, should you let a player take their rounds take 6 times longer than another, so to speak, and stuff. So there are many different aspects to balance, and you should all think a little bit about how much you will allow within these parameters, meaning what are your limits in your game, and that's something you should discuss with your players, because for some players, having a lot of crunch and go through the Excel spreadsheets and get the optimized character to do the best thing, that's the meaning of the game. So don't nerf that. And in other groups, it's improv and tell good stories and roll some dice and move forward quickly. So for them, that should definitely be nerfed. And so it's play style and how you play are very important for a lot of these balancing stuff, especially the ones that go beyond the basic rules.
Excellent.
And balancing encounters was something we didn't talk about much either, meaning how much should you throw Death Knights at first level characters. So, yeah.
Another good topic there too, Anna. So Sam, what are your thoughts summarizing this? And thanks for hopping on, man.
Oh, you're welcome. I agree with a lot with Anna's summary there. I would divide it into this hard and soft balance. Some things that, like I say, the 3/5 changes, a couple of things I mentioned for Wizards, and I have a laundry list more. Or the iterative attack penalty for fighters and such. These are big things. These are hardwired into the system and need full rule zeroing. And then there's the softer balance things, encounter balance that we didn't cover, campaign balance between ultra plot armor and ultra irrelevance. I would note most of these things are not an either or. There's a ton of stuff between them. It's like, okay, it's not just a choice between sandboxing and railroading. There's a whole realm of DMing in between that, of adventure construction, of campaign structure between the two extremes. It's just, of course, people want to talk about them, and they usually wind up getting presented as you're either doing this or you're doing that. There's not. There's a spectrum. Yes, there's a wide spectrum, a wide variety of things you can do. Just not having your dungeon laid out in a linear fashion.
True.
Is a form of sandboxing.
Yeah.
If there are 5 different doors you can go through, 5 different passages through the dungeon, that can be considered sandboxing. But then, you made us go to the dungeon. You're railroading us. Seriously? Right. So don't worry. Like I say, the solution is to really embrace the middle and not the extreme of the absolutes.
Great points, man. And you may make a mistake here and there. Okay, you learn from it. Right? You learn from it, you move on. You go
constantly.
You can always undo something too. You go, look, you're right. I made a mistake here, and we're gonna adjudicate it. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Thanks. Yeah, I'll be down, and that's why I don't want to cancel next week's. We already got the topic. I forgot the banner on that too. So Tim, what's your closing?
I think with rules, the number one rule is the DM makes the rules. So.
Yes.
Generally, you have rules for playability, for everyone kind of having a general sense, but sometimes there's unseen things that the DM should be able to manipulate, and you should be able to build a sense of trust when you say something that's happening this way, that it shouldn't be adversarial. And if you have somebody who is overly adversarial, then don't invite them anymore.
Gotcha, Michael.
And also, don't put ego aside, because sometimes. We have an idea what we want, and other players, it's supposed to be fun. So you have to also listen to what they want, and that will help maintain the balance of the game. With the rules, how you do your rules. And then I think when you start your character out, as far as balancing toughness, put them in, depending on the neighborhood you put them in, will help keep them from accidentally walking into a troll's cave. Don't put them in a neighborhood where that's likely to occur, and you won't accidentally let them sandbox on into it. And then let them go to worse and worse neighborhoods when they're ready. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
So, let me say this. I've been blessed, and a lot of you have ventured with me at cons or online, where I rarely get an argument from any of the people playing. Now, we joke around sometimes. Like Ed, wants to do the rest thing, and at Gary Con last year, I said, "This is your one and only rest ever." I thought it was funny.
Yeah. But you choose your players so carefully.
Well,
So
yes, I do, Anna. That's true. That's true. But let's say this. DM is just like anything else. You learn from experience. You learn from what you're doing. You make mistakes. You come up with good ideas, and then you implement them. And that is why I have 20 books of rules and stuff. Hey, we've added things into our game, and they work. And what we do is not for everyone else. What you may like some things here and there, or you may not. But the thing is, that's why we discuss them on these shows. I really appreciate everyone coming on, bearing with me for me being late tonight, from even the 8 o'clock start. But I think this was a really fun and productive discussion. Now, I promise, the Illusionist won. Let's shoot for 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why we can't do that. Let me do these shout outs, and then I'll show you what's going on, then we'll give everyone else their shout out here. Let's do these real quick. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Awesome.
Give him the tongue. Thanks for the lick.
Tim and the mongrels of the putrid tongue.
That tongue looks so damn real.
It does look real, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks so real.
Yes. Do you think I did that on purpose or not? You be the judge. All right. So Wednesday night. Sorry I didn't do a banner for it. It's one of the things I forgot. Can never be considered the wrong button, though. Not for Tim. Wednesday night show, 9 o'clock start. I have something at school with my son till 8:30, and I got to rush back. All right. So, let's do it the week after the Eagles. Yeah. Well, absolutely in 2 weeks. So 9 o'clock, we're doing holidays and festivals. Yeah, there it is. I think we did that as number 35, and remember that was only like the fifth show. The fifth show I did when
Mike said it was like 190 shows ago or something. So
and that was just, we're going to do holidays and festivals of Greyhawk Wednesday night, 9 o'clock p.m. All right, that's Wednesday. Thursday, Hiltless Swords, Wreck of the Shining Star. What I set up on the table yesterday morning. Thank you so very much for all the people coming here. The giveaway may change from Infinite Dimensions to someone else. I'm not sure yet. All right, but I'm excited about this one. It's a one shot. It's converted from Dungeon 15, and this is one of those where there's no reason in the camp. They're not going there to save the world. They're going there to investigate and salvage shit out of the ship. That's exactly what the adventure is written for. So you can check it out, and that is Thursday. Now Saturday, nothing. I don't think I have anything going on the weekend except Sunday night is a big night. Number one, it's my 2-year partner anniversary stream. I get December 3rd, 2 years ago. We became partner, shockingly, right? Also, DM's Roundtable, the 15th DM's Roundtable we've ever done. Look at this cast. Ed Greenwood, who will be a little late because he's got a meeting. Mike, Sly Flourish himself, Shay, and Punk Rock Jenny, who's awesome. If you haven't seen her on Instagram, she is awesome. And it'll be the first time we get her perspective. So we're a DM's Roundtable. Anna and I will be coming with questions. Please, you all come with questions. Always we're talking about challenges of running a D&D campaign, but I don't want any additional word questions. All right, let's talk some, some meat and potatoes there.
You're gonna get some. You're gonna get some.
It's gonna be a great discussion, and there's my partner anniversary stream on next Sunday. All right, and then the Saturday after that, it's the doubleheader. The Deadly Drowned Part 1. I hope I get the overlay from Cutting Edge Studios for this, because I got a brand new one coming just specifically for this. Shipping running from Selene down the Jewel River to Altamira has been raided a lot recently. What's going on? But we're going to start out with Part 1 with the lower level group. So Little Bird has a brand new character. She has a duelist. Coco Bunny Courtney has a fighter mage. LJ has her Avenger, 5th level, and Korg has his Monk, dual class fighter, 3rd level, Monk 5th, that he switched over. He was a guard for all those years. I know, Tim. I cheat for those that are single players. And then that's in the morning, 9 a.m. And then at 6 o'clock that night, I'm crazy. I'm running 2 games back to back. The Deadly Drowned Part 2, we ramp it up a little bit after they find out what the issue is. Ed Greenwood, Eric Mengi, Anna, Eric Boyd's 50-50. Darling is in, playing Phil Mafani. And Jose Ortiz comes back with Gareth the Longarm, his Inquisitor Paladin. Yes. Saturday, December 9th, 6 p.m. That's a doubleheader. That's as far out as I got. I am working with Alyssa Faden for a Call of Cthulhu game, okay, around Christmas time. All right, just note that too. And a Battletech game too for everyone who plays Battletech. All right, Sam, what do you got to shout out?
Okay. I've been a little more open about it, that my goal is to redo the Gazetteer of the Flanays. And I keep writing and writing. I just have to get this stuff out. I have about a 75-page book on the races of the Flanays.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, at least, might have to come out in 3 parts, but hopefully part 1 will be out around March next year. After that, I've already worked on old histories of the Flan and the Backloonish, pre-migration stuff. And I'm looking to expand that for the Iridians and Suluis eventually. Not sure when it'll hit me to do it. I do have my Keelan Gaz that I hope is coming along, even though it's sort of intermittent. I've sort of written it. I'm waiting on Gary Smedger.
How many pages is it? 75, you said?
It's about 75 pages on the races. The giants that already showed up in Visions.
Right. Okay.
Sort of it's like around 8 pages of that.
Oh, cool.
But so it's like 65 new pages, 65, maybe 70 new pages, just covering everything, trying to reconcile all the contradictions, put a little bit of backstory into it, design the humanoids for Earth specifically instead of the more generic versions or Forgotten Realms versions that always come out. And then just do a full catalog and list of just about every other reasonably humanoid race that shows up in the Flanays.
Zvarts.
Yep, Zvarts.
Germline.
Section that includes them. And of course, it contains some of my own little revisions on all that.
That's awesome.
Some new takes. The history, tries to collect as much of the canon references and then do a little expansion on it. Put a little more information, put a little more background that's not really there. Explain why there are 3 groups of Backloonish who use different titles.
Oh, that's never been explained.
Yeah, so that's a feature.
They're from different language families.
Yes, completely different. Why? And just explain why it's there for the Backloonish. For the Flan, try to do a little more of a list of some of the hinted at but never really mentioned Flan that must have been around because their names show up in the books and how the history kind of played out. I'm trying to do things like that. Oh, the other day we were discussing. Someone came into the Discord and was asking, what kind of food do they grow up in Blackmore?
I saw that. That was this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday morning.
Okay.
And we spontaneously
like Alaska
on frost wheat.
Yeah.
So a new plant for the Flanays, just so they can have food to grow in Blackmore.
That's cool. That makes sense. And
is it related to lichen?
Well, they go out and then kill their white dragon, and then they kind of set for the next 6 months. They hunt. Yeah.
Well, that's how ideas are formed, though. And Fannon's brought about a question.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
In summer, so yeah, look at Alaska, Scandinavia, Siberia for inspiration.
The geothermal activity has made it warm in certain pockets where they can grow.
Yeah, up in northern Canada and stuff like that. So what they do up in
that was one of the things we discussed. But instead of trying to make sure just put that in, I said, you know what? Maybe at this point it's easier we just create a new special plant like Galda or Yarpik.
Yeah,
very cool. That makes 100% sense. And that was a newer person to the Discord, if I recall. And
Yeah.
the great thing about that is now they go, wow, this is great, and that's what's so wonderful about the community.
Another thing, planet Earth has 30-degree actual tilt, which means that the summers are more summery and the winters are more wintry. The seasons are stronger, so that will definitely affect up in Blackmore and stuff.
Less permafrost. Yeah, very cool. Yep. Sam, thank you very much for hopping on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, glad to be allowed to ramble.
Of course.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Tim, what's up?
Just busy.
Yeah, you?
Family busy. Yeah. So, November, this time frame is a nexus of Thanksgiving,
right? Christmas.
2 different parents' 3 different parents' birthdays. My wife has a parents' birthdays. My parents have their birthdays. Their wedding anniversary, my parents have their 60th, and then my mother's 80th birthday. So busy lately, and only worrying about keeping everybody above water.
Well, we're so glad you were able to hop on. And glad we started late, so that was another reason why you could get on. So
yeah.
When's the next reverse dungeon?
I don't know. I'll talk to you offline.
Yeah, talk to me at some point. This is my last week off, so catch me this week. So, I'm going to be in Atlanta for a couple of days at least. So, well, Tim, thanks a lot for hopping on. Anna, what do you got to shout out?
Okay, first I want to promote a book that Brian Blomklotz suggested to me, and it's called Proactive Role Playing. And I'm going to post a link where you can get it on Amazon. Hang on a second, I'm just going to copy it here.
When did you talk to Brian?
We chat regularly, like every month or 2 at least. So we chatted on Discord a couple of weeks ago.
I wish he would be more active in the community.
Yeah. So this is a really cool book. This is they call it proactive role playing. It's kind of heavy sandbox role playing, and when I started reading it, I realized this is someone who wrote a book about games the way I like to run them, so to speak. So this is very much been my Bible before I even read it. I don't do everything what they say in here, but very, very similar. This author here has very lot of similar ideas. They say 5e games. It can run any role-playing game. It doesn't even need to be fantasy. This is about the idea of how you go about thinking about how you run your games. It could be a really interesting book. It costs like $14. So it's not that
$13.49 paperback.
Yep. Yep. So that was the first thing I wanted to do. Then I have a link to my a post on my Patreon. I haven't put it on to my website yet because I just made it open. That's my Shieldland Heraldry. So go in there and read and download and it's I open it up for galore for everybody. Over 40, it's 50 Shieldland Heraldry and a new updated. 600, almost 600 megs, and plus a map of like another 10 meg on top of it. There is the Shieldlands provinces, so to speak. So it's kind of a cool. You can just download from the page one by one, or you can go and take a sip of the whole thing, so to speak. So those are the thing that I have to share, so to speak. But I'm also working hard on the GIS stuff, and I'm also working on summing up the year and looking into what I'm going to do next year. And there are some interesting developments, so to speak. Let me say that. So it's too early to say what they're going to be, but there are some interesting things happening. So there will be some new stuff in there, and I will go over some of the projects and stuff. And there will also be a secret kind of side to this that only my top patrons will read, because then I will outline another part of it. And I will talk about my revamping of my Patreon and my website and stuff for next year. So it's coming. Yep.
So last call, get it in 10 seconds, 2 giveaways. You get your choice of 2 adventures or a compilation. I still have 2 Scarlet Brotherhoods. I have treasures. The D1s and the D1, 2s, and 3s went like hotcakes already. So I think I don't have any D1s, 2s left. I have a D3 and a Q1, or a G1, 2, 3 and a D3. I mean, Patrick, they went like gold on the last couple times. So like I knew they would. So here we go. I'm going to close this out, see who wins. 2 winners. I also Pat66. If you're on, I have your. I'll get these out tomorrow too. Your winnings from your miniature winnings there. So, good luck, everyone. It's good to see you all. Thank you all for the support as usual. Close that out. Close this out. Don't crash the stream, Jay.
I added myself at the last second just because you said D3.
Yes, D3's awesome. Here we go. Closing it out. Let's see who wins. First winner. Retro Gamer Muff, Mike Saxton.
Oh, cool.
Second winner.
Congratulations.
Began won. I saw Began on. So there you go. Be on the claim, either one of you, Began or Retro Gamer Meth. Let's see. See if you're claiming. Began is. Began, let me know what you want. I got, like I said, I got some good compilations, and yeah, let me know. And then Retro Gamer Meth, if he, I'll check Mike. Is Mike on? Let me take a look. Let me see if he's on. He may be lurking. If he's lurking, I don't see him on.
Oh, he is.
He's on. Mike's on too. Okay, there you go, Mike. All right, you message me too. All right, awesome. Great. Sam and Tim and Anna, thank you all.
Oh, thank you.
Great show. Great discussion. See, yeah, you want D3Q1? Yep, you got it. Beacon, D3Q1. I think I got your address. D3Q1.
Of course he does.
D3Q1. Got it. No problem. All right, cool. We're going to rate her, darling, like we normally do on Sundays. Say hello to her, and let's keep everyone rolling here. Let's keep it going. We'll see you at 9 o'clock Wednesday night. All right, on holidays and festivals of Greyhawk. See you all soon. Thank you. And thanks for the great weekend. I really appreciate the support. Bye. Raid setting up. Say hello before you bolt on the raid, please, to Darling and crew. And let's have some... Darling is going to GaryCon.
Are they doing Cyberpunk?
No, Dragonfire and Cormier. They got a D&D game going. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone have a good night. See you soon. Raid. Excellent. Just make sure everything's in. Yep, we're good. I want to blast over 100 D's nuts. 'Cause I'm that kind of guy. All right, we are off.